I want you to be honest. Would you recommend the full diploma? And why or why not? I know. Mariela, let's go with you first.
Okay. So in a regular circumstance, I would strongly recommend taking the full course. And, you know, I remember hearing from graduated seniors that the diploma did not resonate so much with them for maybe the content or the result of them like getting all their points, but more for the life lessons and I think in the journey of the end and what you take out of it, maybe in like the bigger picture. But of course, like a pandemic, it's really hard to imagine anyone wanting to make their life harder. But I really do think that you take a lot from it that in a way for me is indescribable. There are things that like change you like as a person. And I think even though, sorry, because I wrote like a bunch of ideas down that what I would say like ultimately is that whoever like is listening to this right now, you know yourself better than anybody else. And I think it takes a lot of like reflection to think about all the workload that you would have to like take on and consider, and then have to add the pandemic like on top of that. So that's ultimately up for you to decide. But in my personal experience, I would recommend it.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Olivia next.
I would absolutely recommend the full diploma for a lot of the same reasons that Mariela said, and that you know yourself better than anybody else. And if it's something that you think you can handle, I would say go for it. And I would even say go for it if you're hesitant about whether or not you can handle it. Because at the end of the day, you won't know what you can handle until you're sitting in the midst of what you're trying to figure out. I remember my mom telling me at the very beginning, before I had even started to think about applying for the full diploma, that it would be better to apply for the full diploma and realize maybe a little while later that I couldn't handle it than to do certificate and significantly lessen my load, realizing that I could have done a lot more. Because it's my experience that you can't go from certificate necessarily to diploma, but you can step down from diploma to certificate. And so it's kind of that, why not just jump off the deep end and start figuring out if you can swim in it. And if you can, great, fantastic, keep going, you can do it, and we all believe in you. But also know that it's okay if it's too much for you to handle. But yes, I would absolutely recommend it, for sure, 1000%.
Well, thank you. So let's hear from Will next.
All right, so you guys are gonna think this is all scripted, you know, Mrs. Schumacher said, say yes, but I'm gonna say the same thing, is that I would highly recommend taking the full diploma. And you know, and Olivia brought up a good point, is like even if you think you're completely prepared, or even if you think you're hesitant, you know, there's a lot of room to make mistake here. And you know, you guys are still in high school, you know, and these teachers are like wise beyond their years, you know, especially at KM. You know, they've learned a lot from their students, and their students teach them a lot, you know, just like they teach the students. And so, you know, there is a lot of room to mistake. It's a 2-year program, you know. It's you know, you might learn your first semester of junior year. It might take a whole year. Maybe it'll take 3 like semesters to learn what it really means to be an IB student. But you know, there's some point during those 2 years where you will learn, you know, okay, this is what it means to be an IB student. This is what it means to take the diploma, you know. And that's at that point, that's when you really learn skills that are impactful for your life. Okay. And then I wrote some notes down too, Mariella. But another thing is that you know, we have a lot of great schools here in Washington. UW, like, so post-secondary. So University of Washington is a great school, Eastern, Western, you know. But there are also a lot of schools elsewhere. And so I did apply to UW, and I got into UW, but I also applied to a lot of different places. And there's a couple people that aren't here, you know, that are, and Mariella goes to Cal State something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I even got into an out-of-state school, which maybe for a lot of people at KM might seem like it's not like possible. but you really never know. And I think even taking a chance like this, I think what Olivia was saying, could get you like somewhere like that. You know what I mean?
Right. And I would, yeah, and definitely like so UW is a great option, and definitely, you know, some of the more cost-effective options are here in state. But you know, there are ways to make it work to pay financially for school that are out of state. You know, there's definitely a lot of other options out there, and I think that I would have gotten a completely different experience going to UW. But I'm so grateful that I got to experience, you know, this time at Emory in Georgia, and IB really helps you become a more competitive candidate for those good schools, you know, those good schools that are out there that you might not have thought about. And so it kind of not only makes you a competitive candidate for colleges, and even other like trades and everything else. I'm sure it would make you extremely competitive for those as well. But it also, I think, gives you skills to like interact with people at those different schools. And finally, I know I'm talking a lot, but to me, when I say somebody's smart, you know, I think of them as having put in that work. It's not something like an inherent like, oh, they're a genius, you know. No, you know, they've put in that work, and they've put in that ethic, that work ethic to make it so that they are smart, you know. And so I'd say that like IB, if you once you really learn what it means to be IB and take that diploma, you become smart, and you gain that work ethic that will just carry you through college and even through life. And so, you know, it's not to say you won't become smart if you take only certificate. No. If you take IB in general, you know, you will gain that work ethic that will make you smart. And so that's why I would highly recommend it, and definitely consider it.
Thank you. Sheila, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, I just gotta add a little bit